The small handful crossing party lines to vote to...
Oh, guys, if you haven't already, make sure to like the video, guys. Make sure to smash that like button. Either you are on Rumble or YouTube. Appreciate the support, guys. But like I said, smash that like button.
Restrict the president's war powers on Iran. So what might this small group of Republicans be seeing? Where is public opinion in general? With us now, CNN chief data analyst Harry Eden, trying to build up anticipation there. What are the numbers showing right now, Harry?
The most unpopular war at the start of a war that I could ever find, ever, has become even more unpopular. That's what those Republicans in the House are seeing. Just take a look here. Net approval rating of the Iran war. At the start, it was underwater, -9 points. Now it's down there with the Strait of Hormuz. Look at this, -23 points. This is a war that has become more unpopular, even as President Trump and his administration has tried to sell it. And among independents, it's gone from 23 points underwater to, get this, 40 points underwater with independents. So those Republicans who, in fact, did not vote with the renegade Republicans, they are helping to put that Republican majority, which was already at great risk in the House, in even more risk.
It's in the wrong trajectory right now.
No, this is the wrong place. You want to be going up, not down.
How do people feel about the congressional approval?
Yeah, okay. How do people feel about the idea that military force needs congressional approval? Okay, this is pretty simple. Against presidents using military force without Congress's approval. Look at this. 63% overall are against the idea that, in fact, the president could just go willy-nilly without congressional approval. How about independents? 72%. 72%, more than 2 in 3 independents are against the idea that the president can, in fact, use military force without congressional approval. So the American people, independents, very much with that House vote yesterday with the ideas, hey, the president actually has to come to Congress to use military force, and independents especially so, Johnny B. We're talking 72% there. And then, of course, my little footnote down here about how independents feel about the war in general, going from -23 points to -40 points. Independents, of course, have been such an important part of the president's decaying political coalition. They were pretty much even in the 2024 election, and they have shifted massively against them, and especially on this war.
It's a pretty esoteric notion, though, congressional approval, because presidents do use military force without congressional approval, whether or not people approve of it. And this has been going on for decades and decades. Another esoteric notion is this,
which should probably be changed. I think it should be more, and maybe we should start leaving it to Congress solely. But here's the problem, though. There is even a problem with my idea right there, or what I want right there, is because if things pop off, Congress might be too slow to act. So we do need the president to have some type of, I would say, like quickness with this. Like, he should be able to get into a war if, the enemy's attacking us. Or if, I don't know, let's say China start closing the Strait of Hormuz or the Strait of Malacca. Yeah, I'm gonna be real with you. We're gonna have to get active over that. But doing wars of choice, wars on intelligence that, isn't verified, that's, our intelligence, that Israeli intelligence is arguing over, that should be taken to Congress, and you need to convince those guys. The only time the president should be able to jump into war is when it's for sure an imminent threat, or sadly, we've been attacked, or we've been aggressed upon, like, through our through the global economy. Like I said, if China or Russia start closing down straits, then I'd be look, they're not aggressing towards us. They haven't attacked us, but they're trying to hurt our economy. I'm okay with us attacking over that, or them attacking us on land, of course. But us trying to create a reason of nuclear capabilities or ballistic missiles that aren't an imminent threat to us, so we're just going in over that when it's debatable in the intelligence community, that's something we got to bring to Congress.
This idea of a ceasefire between the United States and Iran, right? Because there is shooting going on back and forth. Nevertheless, how do people feel about staying in this condition, this ceasefire?
Whatever exactly this ceasefire is, people want it to continue. Take a look here, and this is the rare trifecta. Continue the Iran ceasefire and the negotiations. Look at this. 77% of all Americans. Then you get the rare trifecta. Democrats, 96%, independents, 81%, and even a majority of Republicans here. What we're essentially saying is, yes, they do, in fact, want this ceasefire to continue. They like this idea. They do not, in fact, want a re-upstart of, let's say, much more force going on in the Middle East, much more force going on in Iran. They want the current condition to hold. whatever exactly you call it.
It is interesting. The fewer Republicans approve of the status quo than Democrats in this case when it's a president enforcing the status quo. Nevertheless, very interesting. Harriet, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Johnny B.
People are tired of this. They're tired of $5 a gallon gas and $6 a gallon diesel and fertilizer we can't afford to. I think it sends a good message that the people's house, which represents the people, is tired of this war.
All right.
Shout out Massey, because he let out a tweet and he pretty much just said, look, if you guys want to get Israel to calm the F down in Lebanon, and so we can get to this ceasefire with Iran, all you got to do is just stop funding foreign aid to Israel for a month. So shout out to Thomas Massey. This is what he says. Just stop sending foreign aid to Israel for a month, and they'll stop bombing their neighbors. Instant peace. The Strait of Hormuz can be open, and gas prices drop $2 a gallon. Israel has been and continues to be the biggest welfare recipient from American taxpayers. You know, that's come from Thomas Massey.
Defectors crossing party lines to limit President Trump's war powers. Will anything come of this in the long term? Good morning, everybody. I'm Audie Cornish, and here's where we start, because this is a rare Republican rebuke on the Hill. You've got 4 Republicans siding with Democrats on that resolution that directs Trump to remove U.S. armed forces from hostilities with Iran. Before the vote, House Speaker Mike Johnson had this warning to members of his party looking to flip.
You know, I'm actually happy, like a guy from Ohio speaking out, because, yo, it's ridiculous. Yeah, like over $4, damn near $5 gas in Ohio. Yeah, you know shit's bad when gas is that high in Ohio. So I'm glad a Republican is speaking up like, yeah, this ain't it. This ain't it, guys.
I think it is a very dangerous prospect to take away from the administration and the commander-in-chief right now the ability to negotiate. That's what this does. It weakens us.
But for the Republican,
not really. Like I said, if it's like a threat that I laid out where they're trying to close or they're trying to hurt us, you know, economically, you know, through closing down straits and all this good stuff, or they're attacking us on land, then I'm all about the president just jumping into a conflict. But if it's on something that's debatable, like, you know, nuclear capabilities and missile defense systems and all this good stuff, that's something we got to bring to Congress. Because I'm gonna be real with you, there was no necessity, there was no imminent threat to get into war with Iran. That's why I'm upset, and that's why the War Powers Act is a BS argument in this situation, because there was a debate going on with it. So there was a debate between Israeli intelligence and the neocons versus the U.S. intelligence and the anti-war guys. And these guys were pretty much going at it, going like, yo, Iran's not an imminent threat. And Mossad says they're 2 weeks away. Our intelligence is saying that, bro, we already did the assessment. They're nowhere near a nuke. What are you talking about? And Trump chose his side. But the main problem here about that is that it's always going to be a pointing fact that, yo, we literally got dragged into this war on bad information. And for some reason, this wasn't debated among Congress. Like I said, this should have went to our officials, and they should have went ahead and hashed this out on, is Iran an imminent threat? And I'd have been more accepting of it if it just wasn't between Trump and his cabinet.
who ended up voting yes, they say several factors weighed into their decision.
We have to follow the law. There's a law in the books. The War Powers Act of 73 says 48-hour notification and 60-day concurrence of Congress. We're past the 60 days. So you have two choices. You either follow the law or you change the law.
People are frustrated, certainly, but that's not the only consideration in this. I fill up my gas tank, too. I have 4 kids. I share the interest in making sure that Iran does not develop a nuclear weapon, but we have to do this in a way that is done through the use of force authorization that Congress has the exclusive authority over. Congress alone declares war.
Joining me now in the group chat, Eleanor Mueller, White House economics reporter from Semaphore, former Trump White House communications director Mike Dubke, and Megan Hayes, former Biden White House director of message planning. Okay, so when it comes to a story like this, it's not the usual suspects, your Thomas Massey of Kentucky, that we are looking at. Yeah. It's the other folks. Brian Fitzpatrick, Pennsylvania, Tom Barrett, Michigan, Warren Davidson, Ohio, all pretty important states in general, in elections. Can you talk about what's going on, why these particular people might be the ones to make this shift?
I think it tells us a lot about how much pressure these Republican congressmen are under to show voters that they're doing something on affordability. You know,
we should be clear, they were just at home.
Exactly.
So
they were
just there last
hearing
week.
it
Yeah.
from constituents. Fitzpatrick has been someone that leaders have had their eye on for a long time as somebody who might vote against this war. And I would argue that him and Barrett specifically, right, are under a ton of pressure to, again, show their districts that they are doing something to bring energy costs down. And so in addition to these concerns over constitutionality that I think Davidson and Massey share.
And here's the thing, the guy in Ohio, he's really in danger because thing is, like I said, Ohio, we're kind of like a swing state. And even though we do mainly lean right, don't get it effed up. You can the Republicans can F up enough and lose a Senate seat. And I think the guy from Ohio knows that damn well, especially when seeing oil prices go up like the way they are. And the Dems could just run on that and be like, look, Republican president, look at all these Republican senators supporting it. Do you want a Republican senator supporting war in Ohio while gas prices go up? Do you want that? And I mean, trust me, it's a good selling point for the Democrats.
Barrett and Fitzpatrick are really feeling the heat, and this vote was a sign of that.
So then you've got this New York Times reporting that even if oil prices peak soon, the global economy is going to slow down, meaning the damage has been done. And Secretary Bessent was on the Hill yesterday, and he, of course, was asked about the economy for the same reasons that this war vote saw the erosion of some support, because people are worried. And here is what Bessent had to say on the Hill.
Could you just explain to me and to farmers in Minnesota how those increased prices driven by the war in Iran are worth the pain that they are feeling right now?
Senator, do you believe that Iran can have a nuclear weapon? As a former farmer, I will tell you that, and maybe you know that.
That's the problem, though. Iran was never going towards a nuclear weapon. Our intelligence community already assessed that. So like I said, when they bring up that, well, do you want Iran to have a nuclear weapon? Well, they were never going to have one in the first place. And I mean, if that's your main argument, then why'd you get out of the JCPOA, something that was done through peaceful means, to get into something that's now cost American lives, taxpayer dollars, and of course is causing further unaffordability on the American people. So if this was about, like I said, Iran not having a nuke, then I'm gonna be real with you, you're kind of making Obama look like the better politician here. You're making Obama look like the better president because he was able to get all that handled without none of this. Like I said, without $29 to $50 billion being spent on this war, without 13 American lives lost, without oil prices skyrocketing, all that. And he was able to get Iran's nuke. He was able to get Iran's enriched uranium and get them to enrich to only enrich at 3.6%. I'm sorry, but when you compare the two, apparently Trump did way better with Iran than Trump did.
75% of the fertilizer had already been purchased this year.
That is not what my farmers in Minnesota are telling me, sir. They are telling me that they cannot afford their fertilizer, and they know the reason why. They know the reason.
There is no doubt that that farmers have been struggling, but much of that there was a record crop last year, Senator. And what do record crops lead to?
What my farmers are
lower
telling
prices.
me.
Okay, so our messaging folks, what do you think of that back and forth? Both sides of it, frankly.
I mean, I think that there's a complete disconnect from how people are feeling. And I think if you're not going to show empathy from people, that's really what gets you here. It's not necessarily the policy. It's when people don't say to you, I understand where you're coming from. We are doing this for this reason.
But his reply was pretty straightforward.
But I just don't think farmers have already bought fertilizer. There's no empathy or humanity for people who are actually these people are multi-billionaires. They are taking people for a ride. They're getting money from taxpayers.
Here's the thing. I'm not going to go as far as her and say they have no empathy, no nothing. But it's really hard to hear that from people who are multi-millionaires, multi-billionaires, who low-key probably haven't ever been to the grocery store. And if they do, they ain't looking at the price. They good. So it is really really hard to hear from people who are multi-billionaires telling us to look at the stock market that they're heavily invested in, that they made gains in, but your average American most likely haven't, unless you got your IRA or your 401k. But most Americans, they're not benefiting from the Dow hitting 50,000. Most of us are not. And then here's the thing, like I said, when you're sitting there telling Americans just to suck it up, it ain't that bad. I mean, we're talking about senators who make six figures plus telling your average American to suck it the fuck up. Like, are you serious? And that's what I'm saying. The Republican Party, y'all losing the average American. Y'all sounding like the rich. I'm sorry, but y'all sounding like the ivory tower Democrats who just be wanting to talk so much about the poor and the needy and all that good stuff when they've never lived like that in their life. And then also they don't even do nothing to help those people but just talk. You guys are sounding like those Democrats right there, the ones that nobody respect.
And that's all the American people see. We can't afford our gas. We can't afford electricity. We can't afford groceries. But you're down here building a ballroom and having a UFC fight. That is it. And so when you sit up there in front of Congress and have no empathy for people, that is what they see. And that's the problem here. When Trump went to this war, he never went to the American people and said, this is why I'm going and this is what I'm doing. So this is what we're left with.
Any lessons learned from the Biden era, folks, about empathy in the economy?
Really? Yeah, of course. Don't do what Biden did, and that's exactly where we are.
No, I'm being serious.
Hey guys, let me know if the stream is like glitching up or anything like that. Shoot, just let me know, because it looks good on for some reason on StreamYard, but when I look at it on my tablet, it's looking a little shaky. So let me know what you guys are looking at. And make sure to smash that like button if you haven't already.
No, I'm being serious too.
You see it as in the same way?
I see it in the same way. Look, when I do media training or anything on a professional level in communications, one of the things that you need to talk about, especially with public officials, is to show some empathy. And I totally agree with Megan on that. Now, I will say that these 4 defectors on the House side, there are other reasons that are going into it, I think,
for sure,
besides affordability. And we can get into that if you want to. But yeah, from the message perspective, this administration does need to understand that there is pain being felt right now.
And I understand what you're saying about someone like Thomas Massie, who's a perennial thorn in the side of the administration. I want to put up some information about Representative Tom Barrett, who is a first-term Republican, okay? So you've got a newbie, but he also is a former Army helicopter pilot. I'm really paying attention to how veterans are behaving politically right now across the political spectrum. And he's facing re-election. And one other person I want to show you, Representative Brian Fitzpatrick.
They're facing re-election. It's just not, and they don't want to give their Democratic opponent any ground. Like, I'm sorry, but it's going to be real good ground to give the Democrats. If he was over here supporting a war that's rising, pretty much coming out to rising energy costs is on the American people. Like, he doesn't want to have to be caught in that position. So he's making a pretty smart move by being against the war. And the thing is, he might actually be for it, but due to re-election, he got to change his tone a little bit.
Pennsylvania represents the Philadelphia suburbs, which I'm sure we'll hear about ad nauseum come election time. But more importantly, former FBI agent has broken away from the administration before. There is a world of veteran law enforcement, like people who kind of speak the lingo